It's 10:05 now and we have 40 participants with here today. Kita start boleh? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrabbilalamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala syafil anbiya wa mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Technical error, sorry. اللهم افتح علينا حكمتك وانشر علينا من خزائن رحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. My name is Nisa. On behalf of Malika Social Work, we would like to say welcome to our speakers, Jason Yeo, Senior Public Health Associate with Unhcr Malaysia, and Matavi Sadatuan, Community-Based Protection Associate with Unhcr, and all participants here today. Brothers and sisters, saya yakin yang ramai antara kita pernah go through sidang akhbar yang menceritakan pasal refugees yang berada terapung di perairan dan sebagainya. So in this 2-hour session, let's take this opportunity to increase our knowledge about refugees. Jadi saya nak ajak semua dengan hashtag biar tahu jangan keliru. With that, we have 2 speakers with us today. They are from Unhcr. So Unhcr ni apa? Unhcr ni adalah stands for United Nations High Commission for Refugees, which has been mandated to safeguard the rights and well-being of refugees and asylum seekers worldwide. So with that, please allow me to introduce our speakers. Jason Yeo has been graduated with bachelor's degree in nutrition and community health from UPM. Hi Jason, and he's currently working as Senior Public Health Associate with Unhcr Malaysia, has been with the organisation for 6 years and mainly assists in HIV prevention and case management as well as health program management. He works closely with various stakeholders on refugee health issues through project partnerships and collaboration. Also plays key role in health-related research activities with organisation, particularly the Healthcare Access and Utilisation Survey. Besides that, he has research experience in nutrition, sexual and reproductive health, and HIV. That's about Jason. And we also have here Matavi. Matavi is the Community-Based Protection Associate in Unhcr with 14 years experience managing second-line medical assistance for refugees. She works closely with all the major government hospitals and Ministry of Health, including SASMAC. She and Jason has been SASMAC before. She also has experience working with various communities and NGOs. With us today also my boss, Dr. Siti Zainab Tauhid. And with that, without further ado, I'll pass over the session to you, Madhavi.
All right. Thank you, Nisa, for the really great introduction, and thank you, SASMAC, for organizing this 2-hour talk. Yeah, when we came during I think earlier this year, somewhere in April or May, we met, and then and it resulted this talk, and I'm really happy to see so many people today in this forum to understand about refugees, and that excites me. Yeah. So thank you so much, and terima kasih kepada semua orang yang participant hari ini yang you want to spend 2 hours or almost less than 2 hours with us to go through this session. Yeah. I think pengenalan diri. This session going to be like roughly we say 2 hours, so we try to keep it within that time.
Sure.
And this session will have 2 parts because we don't. The first is roughly around 30 to 40 minutes, and then kita akan ada 15-minute break, so you can go and grab your coffee or whatever not. And then we sambung the second session, and then we would have a Q&A part. Yeah, and the language would be my slides would be in English, But I will be mixing my Malay and English unless there's somebody here. Ada tak siapa-siapa yang like do we have any our expat friends ke siapa-siapa in this list who may not be able to understand
From the
Malay?
list, I can see only Malaysian.
Okay, great. So then I can mix lah, yeah.
Sure.
And then for those people, if you have any questions, I'll try to answer the questions towards the end of the session. But if you have it, just put it in the chat box and then we'll probably try to get back to that later. Yeah. And we would have some questions. You might post some questions after this, so you can put in the chat. Yeah. And if I present the slide, I may not be able to see the, no, I cannot see the chat. So I need somebody to tell me what was the answers or
I'll
response.
let you know. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay. So let me share my slides. Kita akan mula. Wait. Sekejap eh. Boleh nampak?
Boleh. Crystal clear.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so this is just general house rules lah. Kalau mic tu kita try to keep it muted kalau kita tak bercakap lah, ya. And then kalau ada apa-apa soalan boleh tanya dekat chat box ataupun you can raise your hand. Kalau boleh handphone is a silent mode. Ya, kalau later lah question and answer time if you have the camera on, so I know I'm not talking to robots. You know, ada gambar je tak ada orang.
Sure.
Okay, so yeah, this is general rules. Yeah, okay. Macam kita kata tadi, ini sebelum kita pergi ke topik besar. Okay, dalam banyak-banyak orang ni, A, B, C dan D. You rasa antara mereka ni siapa adalah orang pelarian? Who do you think is a refugee? A, Albert Einstein. B, Freddie Mercury. C, Mila Kunis. D, Steve Jobs. Siapa? Boleh bubur dalam chat box so I can have a look. Any idea? Siapa? Kenal kan semua orang ni? Harap you orang kenal lah.
Kenal.
Famous lah. Orang-orang sangat famous. Yeah. Any idea? Any answer so far? Yeah. Ada tak? Siapa orang refugee dekat sini? Siapa you rasa?
Multiple answer here.
Boleh. Just say it out to me, please.
Azwani said B. Got C. Got all.
All, okay. C.
All. C. B. A, B, C, D means all.
Okay.
So far, we got A also.
Okay.
Okay, multiple answers.
Oh, is it keep on coming? Very good, people.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
that's good.
Okay, good. Jawapannya ialah D. Bukan, sorry. Jawapannya ialah A, B and C.
Okay.
Albert Einstein, Freddie Mercury, Mila Kunis semuanya adalah orang pelarian. Okay? Kecuali D, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs ni orang kata apa, dia bukan pelarian, dia diri sendiri bukan pelarian, tapi dia adalah anak pelarian Syrian. In a way, you know, he's like related to a refugee family, refugee person. Yeah. So basically, all of them have refugee background. Okay. So bila kita kata orang refugee ni, kita yang selalu the picture that comes to our mind is basically orang yang in a very dire situation. Mungkin kita we look them at not the, bukan macam kita bukan tengok macam our fellow local, tapi kita tengok you know, we don't get this picture. Each time kita tengok refugee, kita tengok orang yang sangat miskin, pakaian koyak rabak, you know, very in a dire situation. Yeah. ataupun sangat miskin ke macam tu, ya. Tapi refugee ni actually dia macam kita juga, ya. The latest minggu lepas, cerita minggu lepas, apa yang terjadi dalam dunia? Negara nama A, mula start dengan A. What happened in Afghanistan?
Taliban.
Ya, negara yang macam tu tiba-tiba bila pemerintahan dia like jadi kucar kacir ataupun changes and people start running again. Memang kita ada dekat sini Malaysia ada pelarian Afghan tapi sekarang bertambah teruk lah. Jadi dalam satu negara ada banyak orang. Tak hanya bukan orang miskin, macam kita like the medical professional even. I have a security guard who is a doctor here, who is a doctor there and doing a security guard job here. So refugees can be from various walk of life. Tak semestinya satu golongan yang miskin, tak ada. Semua orang, siapa pun boleh jadi pelarian. Ya. Okay, moving on. Okay, so okay, so next. Jadi kita kata, okay, kalau semua orang jadi pelarian, jadi semua orang jadi apa kriteria nak jadi pelarian ni? Who is refugee kita nak kata? Okay, who is refugee? Refugee ni kita ada orang kata 5 kriteria. Okay, 5 criteria. Ya, satu ialah orang pelarian ni dia tinggalkan negara dia sebab diskriminasi disebabkan atas race, religion, citizenship ataupun political views. Ya, okay. So race-nya contohnya boleh bagi satu contoh. Race tu siapa? Contoh. Yang ni okay, I can't see the chat. I'm sorry. So someone have to tell me. Dalam negara kita ada banyak.
Bangladesh, Rohingya.
Hai. Orang pelarian yang tinggalkan negara dia sebab diskriminasi atas bangsa dia. Not the first one, the second one apa tadi?
Rohingya.
Okay. Orang tu didiskriminasi sebab dia tu orang Rohingya. Okay, bukan pasal dia tu anything else. Orang lahir saja sebagai Rohingya kena diskriminasi sudah. Okay. Religion. Okay. Contoh religion yang saya cakap kat sini, like contohnya dekat Pakistan. Pakistan dia ada the majority have like Muslim country kan Pakistan, tapi dia ada minority Muslim group yang called Ahmadiyah. Jadi the majority group think Ahmadiyah ni bukan Islam, bukan apa. Jadi mereka diskriminasi di Pakistani Ahmadiyas. Jadi orang Pakistani yang datang dekat Malaysia pun adalah, tapi Pakistani yang bukan yang bayar kita yang jual kapek ke apa, bukan. Itu adalah migrants, ya. Tapi kalau Pakistani Ahmadiyas yang lari daripada negara mereka untuk cari perlindungan dekat sini, itu diskriminasi kerana religion, ya. It can be also because of citizenship or political view. Contohlah political view-nya ialah bila dekat Thailand. Thailand dia ada satu undang-undang lay majesty law. Saya rasa mungkin kenal lah. Jadi siapa-siapa yang kritik raja Thailand, kritik itu bukan apa. Dia kata pasal apa king pakai baju ni. Dia akan ditahan tanpa bicara dan penjara seumur hidup. Dia takkan tahu apa yang akan jadi kat dia. Jadi dekat situ keselamatan tu terancam lah. Jadi mereka boleh lari. Yeah, so this is the 5 reasons lah for the criteria dia. Okay. Dan ini, refugees doesn't get protection from their government and needs international protection. Jadi bila kerajaan negara tersebut tak dapat menjamin keselamatan warga negara dia sendiri, jadi mereka terpaksa lari lah. Ya. Dan mereka tak boleh balik kepada negara mereka secara selamat. Yeah, they cannot go back. Okay. And then mereka ni bukan economic migrant. Orang selalu kita confuse. Banyak pelarian. Tapi people are confusing orang pelarian dengan economic migrant. Ya. Dan orang pelarian ni bukan tinggalkan, bukan migrate. ke negara lain atau ke tempat lain sebab untuk nak cari pendapatan yang lebih baik ataupun untuk economic gain. No, it's not. Yeah, they run because their life at stake, their life in danger, so they have to run. Yeah, unlike orang kata apa, migrants. Jadi refugee or migrant, okay, this is matters. Apa beza dia? Tahu tak apa beza? Anybody?
Kalau parti tu migrant ke?
Parti tu pendatang tanpa izin, right? General term tu ialah parti tu pendatang tanpa izin, dia tak minta izin lah dia datang kan. Tapi ialah we can be using it alternately for both. Tahu tak apa beza? Anybody? Think. Okay, bagi saya contoh orang migrant. Negara kita, orang migrant datang dari negara mana? Any idea?
One checkbox from Zater Rawiha, migrant with documents.
Okay, migrant with documents dari negara mana?
From China. Dr. Siti said from China or India.
Okay, China or India. Lagi? Oh, banyak kat sini.
Got from Amira and Anis from Indonesia.
Yes, good. Yes, we have migrants from Indonesia, banyak dekat sini. Construction site, name it lah, plantation, ada lagi?
Sama says Bangladesh.
Yes, we have a lot of Bangladeshis here. Ada Bangladeshi yang banyak cerita yang keluarnya ialah, mati ditimbus oleh MRT. Okay, lagi? Mana?
Syaira
Macam mana
says,
dengan,
Pakistan, Thailand, Vietnam.
Yeah. Correct. That's good. Yes. That's economic migrant. Economic migrant ialah macam kita kata orang yang datang untuk mencari pendapatan ataupun peluang ekonomi di negara lain. Ya, macam memang betul everybody you say okay from Bangladesh, Indonesia, kita ada Nepal, most of the Gata Nepalese, Indonesians, we have Philippines, banyak China, India, memang banyak. Okay? Tapi refugee ni, dia lain. Dia bukan datang untuk ekonomi. Kalau orang migrant, dia bolehlah pergi balik kampung dia, negara dia, bila-bila masa dia suka and they are there. Refugee, tak ada. Toleh belakang, mungkin tak tahu dia ada family ke, rumah ke, dekat balik dekat kampung dia. They left everything, they may have lost a lot of things, on the way while running. Okay, dan kita juga ada kita selalu kata undocumented migrants dekat sini. Maksudnya itulah orang immigrant yang tanpa dokumen dekat sini, ya, yang duduk dekat Malaysia like overstay lah. Ini antara kategori. Tapi it's very important to differentiate refugee and migrant. Okay, sebab ini beza dia banyak sangat. Satu by choice, satu bukan choice. Sorry.
We got an answer here from Siti Farah. Migrant means choose to move. However, refugees forced to move.
Yes, Siti Farah, that's a good answer. Good, yes, that's my point. Exactly. Okay, so jadi bila orang refugee datang, okay, so kita kata why international protection? Bila mereka lari, mengapa negara kena beri perlindungan? Okay, so selalunya macam saya terangkan tadi, national protection. Satu negara yang berdaulat, dia ada undang-undang dia untuk memelihara dan melindungi warga negaranya dan boundaries, territory and boundaries, tapi ada kalanya negara tersebut tak dapat ataupun tak nak lindungi warga negaranya sendiri. Contohnya they can be internally displaced. Katalah satu tempat tu kalau yang sangat dekat dengan kita what we call, bukan dekat dengan kita. Contohnya lah kalau konflik tu berlaku di satu negeri. Jadi orang tu lari, dia duduk dalam dia lari ke negeri lain dalam negara tersebut. Itu kita kata internally displaced. Ya, tapi kadang-kadang mereka juga terpaksa lari ke negara lain, ya, untuk mendapatkan perlindungan antarabangsa. Okey, jadi perlindungan antarabangsa ni maksudnya orang kata apa, negara lain lah, contohnya like dari kalau neighbor kita Myanmar, ya, mereka lari ke negara yang berdekatan. Siapa? Like Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, ya, dia lari ke negara ni. Jadi negara-negara ni adalah kena beri international protection. Dekat sini, who provides international protection dekat sini kata? The host government. Okay, host government adalah orang yang bertanggungjawab untuk melindungi orang pelarian dari segi hak dengan keselamatan dia lah. Ya. Tapi kalau kita ada 146 negara yang sudah pun sign Convention 1951 tu, mereka ada lebih banyak tanggungjawab lah untuk menjaga kepentingan orang refugee. Ya. Tapi kalau ada host country memang dia kena lindung orang kata apa hak orang pelarian. Okay. Dan UNHCR kita monitor and works with the government and intervenes if necessary to ensure all these rights are respected. Okay, ini tugas UNHCR secara global. Ya. Dan kita lihat tengok. Okay. So dekat Malaysia. Dekat Malaysia UNHCR tahu tak sejak bila, dah berapa tahun, sejak tahun bila kita ada kat sini? Teka? I can see chat here. Teka? Ada? Berapa tahun? Dari dulu ke? Sampai sekarang ke? Berapa tahun? Tahu tak? Tak tahu. Okey. UNHCR berada di sini sejak tahun 1975, ya, iaitu sejak bila orang kata apa pelarian Vietnam. Okay, bila perang di Vietnam, that's the first time Malaysia got pelarian. Jadi di Malaysia UNHCR ditubuhkan pada 1975 untuk menangani isu pelarian Vietnam ketika itu. Alright, sejak itulah kita ada dekat sini. Tapi dari dulu 1975 kalau you tahu dekat Pulau Bidong, pernah dengar Pulau Bidong? Mesti dekat you punya tempat ni. Kuantan, di other side East Coast. Pernah?
Terengganu we got answer dari pelarian bidong. Okay.
Faizal, that's correct. Ya, Bidong. Pulau Bidong. Okay, Pulau Bidong dulu adalah tempat penempatan orang pelarian Vietnam. 1975. You boleh pergi cari, like Google it or YouTube it. There's a lot of videos about Pulau Bidong. Macam mana keadaan Pulau Bidong ketika itu. Ya. So lepas tu kita 1990s bila pelarian ni like isu Vietnam hampir like you know dah settle, kita ada satu camp dekat Sungai Besi. Kalau orang Kuala Lumpur, KL, you tahulah Sungai Besi, dekat Sungai Besi airport tu yang airfield tu, kita ada satu camp dekat situ. Dululah 1990-an. Okay, tapi camp tu dah ditutup lastly like 1994 sebab tiada lagi pelarian Vietnam, sudah tutup. Tapi pelarian yang ada dekat Malaysia ni semua it's living among us lah. Okay? Okay, that's a little bit about UNHCR. And then we move, kita tengok just little bit of the UNHCR processes. Okay, ini kalau you tak baca tak apa. Okay, Faizal say we are unable to unmute ourselves. Yes, tak apa. Nanti end of the session lah Faizal. Sebab I rasa dia tak nak ada noises. Okay, so graph ni kalau you tak dapat baca tak apa. Tapi it just nak tunjukkan orang kata apa the process of the orang kata nak dapatkan dokumen dekat UNHCR. Orang selalu kata, oh kita adalah orang tuduh UNHCR. Pergi UNHCR you dapat je dokumen. Actually tak. Bukan macam tu pun. It's not like that ya. So when someone comes to say, okay, I want to seek asylum, saya nak, memohon suaka lah. Okay, dekat Malaysia, dekat sini, mereka datang ke Unhcr. First, mereka akan go through pendaftaran, lepas tu mereka akan dapat satu dokumen. Okay, bila dokumen tu dapat, itu maksudnya mereka tu masih pemohon suaka, belum jadi orang pelarian. Dan mereka akan go through some processes, kita kata refugee status determination ni, untuk dia akan go through interview yang berjam-jam lamanya, kadang-kadang ambil masa, for example, like dari 6 bulan ke setahun ataupun 2 tahun ya, untuk go through those interviews yang akan untuk memastikan orang ni betul-betul mempunyai kriteria-kriteria orang pelarian. Okay. Jadi barulah lepas tu lah dia akan dapat kad UNHCR. Orang kata okay, ini memang betul orang pelarian. Ya, jadi proses UNHCR ni dia sangat panjang dan sangat masih very tedious lah. Ya, untuk memastikan seseorang tu adalah betul-betul orang pelarian sebelum diberikan recognition, ya, dikata dia orang pelarian. Jadi bukan semua orang boleh dapat, katalah orang Nepali ke Bangladesh ke Indonesian ke, dia datang kata ini orang pelarian. Tak adalah, memang tak boleh dapat kat UNHCR. Okay. Dan bila mereka go through all these processes, apa jadi? What happened after that? Okay, dah dapat UNHCR card, then what happened? Okay, tapi dekat Malaysia kita kata Malaysia is a urban refugee. Kita tak ada camp sudah. Camp tu dah habis era 1990-an. No more already. Yeah. Now is basically urban refugee. Refugee tu tinggal bersama-sama kita. Jadi lepas tu apa? Sekarang dah dapat UN card, dokumen, nak buat apa? Mereka terpaksa tinggal di Malaysia sehingga mereka dapat satu kita kata durable solution lah. Penyelesaian jangka panjang. Penyelesaian jangka panjang ni apa? What is durable solution? Kalau ikut UNHCR, kita ada 3 lah. Okay. Satunya durable solution, penyelesaian jangka panjang, ialah voluntary repatriation. Voluntary repatriation ialah pelarian boleh pulang ke negara mereka secara sukarela bila negara mereka sudah aman. Contohlah, 1990-an kita ada banyak sebab perang sivil dekat Aceh, kan tahu kan? Siapa yang ada dekat 1990s, perang sivil dekat Aceh, banyak orang Aceh lari kat sini. Banyak orang Aceh dekat Malaysia ketika itu. Ya. Lepas tu perang dekat Aceh all settle, jadi orang Aceh pun mereka balik kepada Aceh, go back to Aceh. Mereka tak duduk dekat Malaysia sudah. Okay, so that's contoh voluntary repatriation. Lagi satu mungkin kita ada, like Sri Lanka. Okay, dulu Sri Lanka perang, Sri Lanka Tamil, dia lari ke sini. Tapi perang tu sudah tamat, okay, jadi negara tu selamat boleh, mereka boleh pergi, jadi mereka boleh balik. Itu voluntary repatriation. Kalau negara tak selamat, contohnya sekarang Afghanistan ke Myanmar ke, tak boleh lah. Tak boleh balik lagi. Kedua ialah local integration. Local integration ialah di mana keadaan negara itu integrasi tempatan lah. Ya. Jadi di mana ini refugee datang, contohlah dekat contoh kata Malaysia sendirilah. Okay. Dekat sini keadaan tu ataupun culture orang pelarian tu tak beza sangat, mereka boleh sesuaikan diri mereka dekat sini, dan kerajaan dekat sini pun kata okeylah, they give rights, okay, you boleh integrasi dekat sini. Itu maksudnya local integration. Ya. Kalau contoh kata kita masih ada lagi bekas pelarian Vietnam yang settle down here, berkahwin dengan orang tempatan, become local themselves. Ya, locally integrated. Saya rasa dekat East Coast pun diorang ada like kampung campa, ya. Betul? Ya, where the Sultan have given satu perkampungan untuk orang campa. Ya, yang sudah lama dekat situ. Betul kan? Cuma hari tu bila I datang tak dapat pergi, tak sempat visit tempat tu. Okay, so that's contoh durable solution. Yang ketiga ialah resettlement. Ini yang banyak orang tahu. Pasal apa kita selalu dengar, pasal apa orang ni tak dihantar ke luar negara, tak boleh dekat sini. Okay? resettlement ke luar negara, contohnya lah luar negara tu negara mana? Negara yang sanggup ambil orang refugee sebagai warga negara dia. Ya, resettlement itu maksud dia resettlement. Tapi resettlement di dalam dunia ni sangatlah kurang. Okey, sebab satu, banyak perang, jadi banyak orang refugee. Ya, terlalu banyak. Ya, orang lari pergi ke negara ketiga directly sometimes. Kita ada selalunya negara ketiga, kita kata dekat US, Canada, some few other Europe countries adalah 2-3, tapi tak banyak. Ya. Okay, I hear a noise. Okay. Durable solution. Itu durable solution. Okay. Jadi dekat Malaysia, kita tak tahu lagi lah yang mana durable solution yang akan apply untuk kita. Kalau untuk pelarian di negara kita, kita belum tahu lagi. Okay, moving on. Okay. Okay. Rasanya in chat box, tolong respon dekat chat box ya. So, dekat Malaysia, rasanya ada berapa banyak refugee kat sini? Berapa juta ke, berapa ribu ke? Any numbers? Teka je. Tak ada betul, tak ada salah. Rasanya ada berapa orang? Anyone? 3 million? 1 million? Ezudin, 3 million ah. Betul. 3 million tu betul tapi bukan refugee. Nanti saya cakap berapa orang. 500k, I mean. Hampir-hampir tapi taklah dekat sangat. Okay, I tak payah buat suspense. Okay, so kalau kita tengok setakat 31 Julai, we have 179,450 asylum seekers and refugees registered under Unhcr Malaysia. Okay, Siti Farah dah. Ini mesti pergi Google cek. Okay, so we have under 79. So roughly mungkin kalau kita ini yang berdaftar, mungkin there are some of them are not registered yet. Probably we are estimating somewhere around like another 20 more thousand around there lah. Jadi more or less we have roughly around 200,000 je. Tak banyak pun. Tapi kita selalu kata, orang pelarian ni everywhere. They are, you can see all the corners in the hospitals, in the KLCC, waktu cuti. Actually bukan. Itu bukan pelarian pun. Okay, so just have less than 200,000 saja all over Malaysia. Okay, so kita punya population dekat sini 31.95, almost 32 million Malaysian population kita. Okay, dalam 31-32 million ni, migrants adalah 3.3 million. Okay, dalam antara 3.3 million ni, yang kalau nampak yang the small little fraction here, this is orang pelarian. Kalau nak kata ambil ratio lah. Ya. Jadi in no way, like orang selalu kata ada propaganda lah, orang pelarian ni mengancam inilah, mengancam itulah, they gonna come and do something. Tak ada pun. They're too little and actually they just want their life to be safe. Yeah. They have nothing against Malaysians and they're actually thankful to Malaysia and Malaysians because we are protecting their life. Okay. So this is some of the few slides before we go for a break. Okay, ini refugee population di Peninsula Malaysia. Macam saya kata, orang pelarian dekat Malaysia adalah dia berselerak. Jadi dia ada dekat semua state. Okay, tapi kalau kita tengok dekat Penang, okay, this is one of the highest orang kata populated lah. Walaupun Penang itu kecil, kita ada sebanyak hampir 20,000 pelarian dekat Penang. Yeah, of course Kedah is the other one, 13,000. Perlis pun ada 300 plus, Perak, Kelantan is another 4 and 5,000. Okay, and of course the highest, the denser yang paling orang kata apa ramai ialah dekat Klang Valley. Almost 90,000 orang pelarian dekat sini. Jadi kalau kita nak tengok pecahan tu, bolehlah tengok KL 29,000, Selangor 70,000. Ini they are here. Okay, kalau dekat Pahang dekat 6,000 lebih lah. This is your territory lah kan. Yeah. And then another highest is Johor, 16,000. Okay, so these are the like three main spots yang orang kata paling ramai orang pelarian ya, Penang, Klang Valley and Johor. Okay, jadi kalau dekat Malaysia, contohnya refugee dekat Malaysia ni 90% adalah orang daripada Myanmar dan 10% adalah pelarian daripada Palestin, Syria, Yemen, Iraq, Pakistan, Afghan, Somalia, Sri Lanka. Ini 10%. Jadi majority in Malaysia, we have 90% of them are from Myanmar. Okay, lagilah sekarang orang kata apa, sebab perang ataupun sebab peralihan kuasa dekat Myanmar, banyaklah lagi orang pelarian dari Myanmar akan lari ke negara berdekatan. Okey, dalam banyak-banyak 90% tu orang Myanmar, 35% adalah orang Rohingya. Sorry, 55% adalah etnik Myanmar. Tapi yang ni dah tukar sekarang. I'm sorry, it just gonna terbalikkan. Almost 50% of the majority of them are Rohingya sekarang dekat Malaysia. Etnik lain dekat Myanmar sudah kurang. And rasanya ini satu quiz. Rasanya dekat Malaysia ada berapa bangsa? It's my favorite question. Sebelum I bagi you break, Mai jawab. Dekat Malaysia ada berapa bangsa? Berapa jenis? Majority? Apa selalunya soalan orang ni? Orang kata cepu mas lah. Very simple question. Berapa? Anybody? 3? Okeylah. 3 main races lah. Tapi kita ada banyak lagi lah kan. Tak campur Sabah Sarawak semua. Good. Rasanya 10. Okay, I kena kira lah. Rasanya dekat Myanmar tu ada berapa orang ethnic group? Rasanya dalam perlembagaan dia ada berapa jenis, berapa banyak bangsa? Betul. 30 lebih. Okay. Lagi? Azuddin, okay, very good. Lagi? Lagi another 2 more answers and I give you the answer. Berapa? Ada jawapan? 100 plus, 100 plus. Amira. Very good lah Amira. Almost. Okay? Dia ada 124 bangsa etnik yang what is it called? Recognized in dalam perlembagaan Myanmar. 124 Ini tak campur yang satu bangsa Rohingya tu lagi. Kalau itu campur tu sekali 125 lah. Ya, jadi memang mereka Myanmar ni sangat orang kata apa, berbilang bangsa tu sangatlah berbilang bangsa daripada Malaysia. Okay, memang banyak dekat Myanmar. Okay, with that I stop dekat sini. Okay, sebab apa, kita dah bercakap hampir 35 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to give you a break time 15 minit. Okay, lepas 15 minit you come back here. Okay, I akan bubuh satu timer dekat sini, 15 minutes break. If you want to go for your loo, go grab coffee, nak stretch ke, come back and then
Perhaps we can come back at 11.
11, come back at 11. We have Jason who will be continuing after this. Yeah, so see you shortly.
Thank you, Manavi.
Yeah.
So kita ada I attend, kita dah letak dekat chat box. Siapa-siapa yang ada kat sini boleh key in your attendance. Thank you.
I'm just gonna put okay.
So nice.
Kan?
Itulah.
Senanglah nak kira kan, nanti tak payah.
Betul.
Okay, so yeah,
At the
see you
same time.
people in 15
See you,
minutes time.
Madhavi.
Bye. All right. I think 50 minutes is over. Okay. So I think
Yes, good to go.
yes, I think I'll just pass the floor to Jason. Let me share the slides. Yeah, just hold on.
Sure. Sementara Malawi share slides, again reminder to participants, minta isi I attend ya. Thank you.
Kena isi lagi sekali ke kau dah isi tadi?
Yang dah isi tadi, untuk yang belum isi minta tolong isi.
Okey, terima kasih.
Sama.
Hi.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Do I have control, Madhavi?
You are co-host, so you should have a control. Try, test, tengok. First question.
Okay. Let me see. No, I still do not have control here.
It says controlling your screen. Right? Again. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you so much. First of all, good morning, and I hope that everybody is safe and sound in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Jason. You can hear me loud and clear, right?
Yes, crystal
And
clear.
can you see me also?
Yes.
Okay, great. Pardon me if you hear some little girl screaming at the background noise. That's no child abuse here. It's just my eldest daughter at her 2 years old time, you know. So
Got
masa
that.
dia tengah cari identity sendiri.
Sure.
All right, so pardon me for that. In case you hear her screaming at the back end.
No worries, Jason.
Okay. Before I go into the second half of the presentation, which is going to touch on a little bit more on the health specific issues among refugees and asylum seekers in Malaysia, I would like to just do a quick pop quiz here. Tapi if we do it face to face, of course we can give you candies or chocolate lah. But now because it's online, all I can do is I would say that well done. Okay. All right. So right. Okay, the first questions you can put in the answers in the chat lah. Refugees are poor people looking for better opportunities in Malaysia. Do you think this statement is true or false? False. Okay. Oh, straightforward lah, kan senang kacang lah this one. Yeah, actually refugees are a very diverse group of people. They may not be 100% poor per se. Mungkin dalam persepsi kita orang, kita nampak kebanyakan dia orang macam sangat miskin, and then a lot of health problems, a lot of this problem, that problem, dirty looking and things like that. But it may not necessarily be that. It's the circumstances atau situation yang memaksa mereka ke arah apa yang dia orang alami sekarang lah. So it's actually very challenging for them. Sometimes we might not even know what kind of life they have gone through. Some of them even experience trauma, abuse, even life-threatening events, which probably would have changed a person's life all over. Okay, so they actually have a very diverse group. As what Madhavi said, we even have doctors here, lawyer, even lecturers, professor, by the way, who are seeking asylum in other countries because of their country are in a war-torn state, because of conflicts, because of certain things that is forcing them to flee their country. Okay, right. So the next one is that refugees are burdened to the host country, thus they should be sent back or kept in camp. What do you think of this statement? You rasa you setuju ke tak setuju? Okay. No answers. Okay. There's no judgment
It's a
here.
tricky one, yeah.
Yeah, this is more for learning lah. Okay, for learning. To a certain extent, I would say that the general senses, our general perception is that you would think that they come to our country, they become satu bebanan untuk negara kita. Dia orang akan menghabiskan duit taxpayers' money, for their well-being, for their social protection and things like that. And thus, we should actually chase them away. We should not welcome them. or place them in a camp setting so that UNHCR boleh manage macam tu. So there's a lot of this public perception towards refugees gearing towards that, but the reality on the ground is that a refugee may be an asset to a country per se, to the whole country, because they can be productive. Just like we said, like some of them are highly productive people previously in their home country. They come to our country, if given an opportunity, they can do even better. So they are here not to create problems for the host country, but more of they are here to seek protection from another land. Okay, so that's the difference here, because sometimes we might have this persepsi yang rasakan dia orang satu bebanan, dia orang tak produktif, dia orang tunggu kita bagi dia makan, bagi kita sopkan dia semua. But the reality is that they can be a very productive people as well. So as long as if given the opportunity to do what's needed. But sometimes because of circumstances, political interference and things like that, they might not be able to flourish because of all these issues lah. But hopefully with I think Malaysian in general is a very compassionate community. Many of the refugees here have benefited from our generosity and a lot of other things. So I think we should keep that going. And then keeping in camps, sometimes there's a lot of debates here, but just to share with everybody, from our experience from UNHCR, like actually putting refugees in camp is costing more money than letting them living in an urban setting, because when they are living on an urban setting, they are actually on their own, meaning to say that they have to find their means to live. They will have to sustain themselves, they have to be productive and things like that. So that will actually make them looking for solutions, what we call the resiliency among themselves. Okay, but if you put them in camp, you swapkan dia, you tak bagi dia kerja, semua tunggu dia duduk, lama kelamaan dia pun jadi macam lembik kan. So it's the trains of thought lah, and then sometimes also it become like everything you spoon feed them, eventually they also don't know how to fish already. So the idea is that we also want to empower this community so that they are able to do more, they are able to contribute even to the host community, which we have a lot of good example of that already. Okay. Yeah, and then the next thing is that Malaysia is not a signatory to the 1951 Refugee Convention. Therefore, the government not responsible for refugees' well-being here. So what do you think of this statement? Sebab kita tak sign convention tu, so kita tak rasa bertanggungjawab terhadap masalah pelarian di Malaysia. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree or things like that? Okay, I don't see any responses. Okay, but just to in the interest of time, just to say that signing the convention, of course, is great for everybody. It's a global commitment demonstrated by the government of Malaysia that they pledge to support the cause and the plight of refugees. But then not signing doesn't mean that you can wash hands per se. So because of this human rights thing, and a lot of Malaysian are also signatory for human rights and child rights, convention and all that. So in a way, we are obligated to provide protection. Okay, and then not signing the convention doesn't mean that you can wash your hand lah. Okay, so but a responsible government, for example, like they can actually do more than that. Okay, they can do more than that. Not necessarily they must sign the thing in order to provide for refugees. They can even have things like a legal framework, per se, on how to manage refugees living in Malaysia. So things like that are possible. So this is just the what we call the higher step to go if, let's say, the government decides to make a global commitment. But not signing doesn't mean that you don't have to do anything. You cannot do anything, right? So but you can actually do a lot more. For example, like our neighboring country, Thailand, they did not sign the convention as well, but then they actually have a lot of policies, framework that gives some kind of protection to refugees community. Okay, Aimee, you have a question.
Can I speak?
Sure, go ahead.
It might take time. Just wondering, for my kind of limited knowledge about this. So you were saying that Malaysia does not sign the Refugee Convention. So is there any reason for that? And you also said that even though Malaysia does not sign, we cannot just wash hand of not providing protection to refugees. So is there any benefit of signing it or not signing it, that Malaysia does not sign it, and now we still provide? So is there any macam contradiction to it or anything? Just to enlighten me and maybe
Sure.
our audience here. Thank you very much.
Right. Thanks, Amy. Not signing the convention, as I said, the convention, of course, if you sign, it's a pledge. Okay, it's a pledge by the government of Malaysia to actually do more, to adhere by the mandate provided by the convention itself. But if, let's say, the government decides not to sign the convention, to a certain extent, the government, as we said, the host government is always the responsible party for the welfare of the well-being of the refugee community. So this is already clearly accepted globally. And then to a certain extent, UNHCR's role is more on helping or to actually coordinate with the government of Malaysia or to whichever government to help them to better manage the refugee situation. So the idea is that actually there's a lot of wrong perception thinking that actually masalah pelarian ni masalah UNHCR, tapi sebenarnya mandat untuk UNHCR adalah untuk membantu host kerajaan untuk mengendalikan or better manage the refugee well-being in their country. So that's already like a lot of times why Malaysia don't sign. If you ask me, I can't answer you directly, but then there's a lot of reason behind, and one of them could be political as well. But of course, there are many other reasons that probably the government will need to give a serious thought to it. But along the way, I mean, to put it on record, UNHCR Malaysia has been very supportive to the government of Malaysia to help them to think about this, to come up with solutions, to actually even give them a white paper and framework on how they can do this effectively, even without signing the convention at this point of time. So I think it's actually a very multifaceted issue lah. Okay, multifaceted, but definitely doable if, let's say, the government is committed. Okay, I hope I answer your question from that end lah. All right. So this is a little bit of a quiz that I'm just sharing to kickstart the next part of the conversation. So okay, so just wondering, I don't know whether you know about the Rohingyas and all, like what do you think, like how the Rohingyas came to Malaysia? So I think I gave the answer there lah. Okay, most of them actually came to Malaysia by boat, through boat. Well, of course, there are also other routes, like for example through land. Okay, they actually cross border from Myanmar to Thailand and then to the Malaysia border. So all these are some of the channels. Sometimes they even find their means, like for example, like this, with the help of traffickers, smugglers and things like that. They manage to come to our shore. But if you ask me, like why are they here, it's simply because they don't feel safe in their home country. They cannot stay because they are not recognized. They are especially in Myanmar, they're not accepted there. So and a lot of conflicts are there, in the Rakhine state. Their villages are being burned. They are forced to flee. Even with kids, if you think about refugees and all that orang pelarian, dia bukan hanya lelaki saja. Because most of the time, if you look at the demographic in Malaysia, it's about 60 to 70% are male. Okay, but the reality is that actually it's a mixed bag. We have even young kids, baby and women and girls and elderly, so it's a mixed bag. It's not just the men who are fleeing. It's everybody. It's just that the women are always being left behind. That's why you don't see them at the front end. Okay. Right. So just to say that they actually went through a very tough journey. Sometimes if, let's say, they are coming to Malaysia by boat arrival, chances are that they probably would have sailed for a month or so. Okay, they would have like lingered on the sea for a long time, waiting for the wave to drift them all the way to our shore. Okay, so things like that happen, and then sometimes they are in very dire state, and you will sometimes you read in the paper lah. Sometimes the maritime and all that, they will actually, when they picked up all this, they will try to steer them away, or don't let them come on board and things like that. So that can be an issue as well. But then what we actually pleading for all governments to do is to actually think from the human right perspective, think about their lives, think about the danger that they have to go through and things like that. So have more, I would say that think about the compassion behind, not just thinking that all these are illegal people, we should not accept them, we should keep them away, we chase them away, flush them to another border and things like that. But then have more compassion about managing, because after all, everybody is all human. Okay. Yeah, so this is some of the pictures that we have taken, like in Langkawi, where there's I think in 2018 there's some boat arrivals, and then these are some of the situations that they're in, because they have been like starving for days, and then like the boat is drifting on the sea, and then not allowed to aboard and things like that. So that makes it very, very difficult for them. Okay. So as I said, bukan saja lelaki saja, you will see like it's a mixed bag. You will see kids also, like budak kecil pun macam tu, they have to go through this difficult turmoil, and they have to flee simply because it's not safe for them to stay anymore. Okay, and then I think for everybody, for every one refugee that managed to come on shore and come to Malaysia, I think chances are that there are many more who actually died behind the scene without us knowing. They just mati kata lah, because when they flee, they go through all this dangerous journey. Whatever they have gone through, nobody knows. Okay, they could have been raped, they could have been bitten by the smuggler, they could have been killed, they could have been buried for some reason. Sometimes if you look at the scandal between the Thai and Malaysia border, there's one time what happened is that there's a lot of issues there, and then there's a mass grave of people who are being buried in that area. So that actually indicates that there's a lot of very high risk, people are being killed if they are unable to pay for their ransom to be released to the other side of the country and things like that. So it can be a very traumatizing experience for them. Okay. So this is some another pictures that show you that where the abandoned human trafficking camp in this Bukit Wang. Okay, so you can see like this is happening. This is real. It's not something that we made up. It's being reported in the press as well. If you follow the news some times ago, all this has been happening. Okay, so the life in Malaysia. Let's talk about what happened now. Like now that these refugees or asylum seekers have come to our shore, has been in Malaysia. So and yet Malaysia is not a signatory to the 1951 convention. There's no special law to protect refugees per se. Okay, so what we are asking is that they can actually consider it from a few angles. The first is that because of the absence of this special law or legal framework per se, they are actually exposing refugees or asylum seekers to many more risks. Okay, even though they are here, they're still not safe per se. Okay, they are still not safe from the authorities, they are still not safe from the enforcement, they are still not safe from the workforce, and they are experiencing all this all over again. So imagine like dah lah dekat negara asal dia diancam, and then bila dia lari dia terancam juga, sampailah kat tempat kita orang dia pun terancam. So there's no peace in mind for them. So I think just to add on to say that many of them actually experience a serious mental health problems. They are traumatized. They have a lot of all this fear in them, and they have trust issue as well, because they don't know who they can trust anymore. And they become very fearful, and sometimes this might be misinterpreted as something like being very rude, being very hostile to us, things like that. So oftentimes, as Madhavi has pointed out, diorang, I think a lot of us keliru about them. We don't know whether they are economic migrant or they are refugees or pemohon suaka. Okay, and not only that, they are unable to work legally because there's no framework. At one point, I think the Malaysian government initiated something, a pilot phase where they call it the workforce pilot, where they actually allow some refugees to work in certain sectors, and then to see the interest and all that, and to see how they can actually materialize this approach, okay, to enable refugees to work in Malaysia legally. Okay, so because now at the moment there's no legal framework, refugees and asylum seekers are in this grey zone. Dekat grey zone ni, dia dibenarkan kerja, tapi at the same time, if they are caught by the enforcement authority, they can be charged. So sometimes the employer also takut, diorang pun takut, and then they face a lot of exploitation by the enforcement, by their employers, by many other parties. Okay, sometimes they are underpaid, for the same job. Probably for another person, the employer is paying 1,000, and then for this, because this person is having some random document or just a HCR document, and the employer might exploit them as well. So you never know. And then they always fill the gaps in terms of the work sector, meaning to say that they tend to work in this what we call the 3D sector, which is dirty, difficult, and dangerous work that people don't want to do. The local don't want to do, hard to get the migrant to fill the gap and things like that. So these are the some of the jobs that refugees, you can often find refugees working in. For example, like construction site, sometimes if let's say the construction or the development project has a shortage of workers, they will just fill the gap there. And then sometimes they will work in restaurant behind the scene, washing dishes and all that, where sometimes it's very hard for the employer to get workers in and things like that. So they're actually helping to fill the work sector. It's just that because of the irregular status and all that, there's no proper recognition, even though the Malaysian enforcement to a certain extent is quite empathetic. So as long as diorang ada Unhcr document, the enforcement less likely to give them problems. Sometimes even if they block them, they see if that they have the Unhcr documents, so they let them go and things like this. But all these are quite irregular because all these are based on the compassionate ground and based on which officer yang jumpa orang tu. So it can be very random. Sometimes you meet the good officer, then they will not do anything to them. But sometimes you get the wrong one or unlucky and things like that. They get into troubles. They are being charged and things like that. But I think in general, even for prosecution per se, there's a lot of understanding from even the EG office about refugee situation in Malaysia. I mean, Unhcr Malaysia has been advocating for years with the AG office, with the Bar Council and all, to make them understand the situation of refugees in Malaysia, so that there's more compassion from the judges as well when coming to cases. But this does not mean that the refugees are free or protected from the law in Malaysia. They are still under the law of Malaysia, under the penal code or under the criminal code charges and all that. So they are still chargeable. So jangan fikir kalau orang pelarian tu dia ada Unhcr card maksudnya dia immune. Okay, dia immune dan dia orang polis kat Malaysia ke tak boleh charge dia orang. Dia orang masih tertakluk pada undang-undang negara ini. Okay, asalkan as long as they are here in Malaysia to stay, they are chargeable under all our penal codes and things. So they are, if they commit crimes, they will face the same charges as other people. So there's no immunity from UN agency or whoever. So they still face the same thing. Just to point out here, because a lot of times people are misunderstood, thinking that dia orang ada UN card mesti dia immune UN kasih protection dia kita tak boleh buat apa polis pun benci dia orang sebab tak boleh charge ke. No, it's not about that. They are still chargeable if let's say they commit crimes. But a lot of times what happens is that there's a lot of exploitation. So they are very vulnerable. They are very scared. Sometimes they kerja susah satu bulan, bila dapat gaji nak balik tu nanti kena tahan ke apa, habis dia orang kena exploit, things like that. So sometimes it can be very difficult for them. Just to put on record, and at the same time, I think at this point of time, we still do not have access to public education for refugee children. So meaning to say refugee children, they are not in school. Most of them, what we are trying to do is that we actually created a parallel system where we have these refugee learning centers. So these are community run or NGO run learning centers, like tuition center kecil dekat kedai itu all the kedai and then the top floor all that. They are there, and then they are given some education there, very basic literacy and stuff like that. But of course, we believe that in order to change their life, you really need to give them education. So this is something that is very, very essential. Sometimes you will notice that they are being deprived of all these basic rights. But the good thing is that from the health perspective, at least the Ministry of Health is is compassionate enough to give a 50% discount for all refugees, asylum seekers who are holding UNHCR document to access public health services. But of course, if you look at, even though this is a very positive initiative, but it's still quite unaffordable for them because of the entry fees is high, because the base rate is high itself. Sebab the reference rate is based on the foreigners rate. Foreigners rate, then you bagi dia 50%. As you know, like for the foreigners rate, if let's say they go for a clinic visit, registration alone is about 50 ringgit, and then if they get 50%, that's about 25 ringgit. So if you think about it from the Malaysian perspective, Malaysian is paying 1 ringgit for that. Of course, we are not asking to say that okay, please give them the same as Malaysian and things like that. If that's doable, of course, we really welcome that. But at the very minimum, try to look at it like they are not able to work legally. They don't have a source of income, and yet they pay like 25 times more for health services. So that could be a reason why they do not turn up, or they delay their treatment, and they ended up in a lot of all this what we call preventable health complications sometimes. Okay, so it can be a challenge lah. Okay, okay, right. So refugee and healthcare. So refugee face a lot of challenges accessing healthcare. Mainly in Malaysia is about the cost lah. Cost, and then sometimes it's the language barrier, and also sometimes the fear of arrest and detention. If you remember, in Malaysia we have this circular, which is a circular 10 that make it mandatory for all the health frontliners to report undocumented people to the immigration if they access government facilities and all that. But the good thing is that even though this circular 10 is still in place, a lot of times I think the health professionals are very compassionate, very understanding about their situation, and they are less likely to be reported. But sometimes they still do from here and there, it still happens. That's why it's very important to look at this holistically, to be to have a proper framework to actually govern the whole thing, rather than having these bits and pieces of these circulars, law, legal law, and things like that actually contradict with each other. And then at one end, you give this 50% discount to enable access. At the other end, you are actually, reporting them to the authorities so that they are being arrested after they access the health services. So you see, like then it become a dilemma for the orang pelarian. Dia nak pergi ke dia tak nak pergi? Dia pergi walaupun dia dapat diskaun, mungkin dia mampu nak bayar untuk medical tu. But at the same time, nanti dia takut nanti what if the government the staff on ground pergi report dia? So macam mana? So they also very scared. So sometimes they are very reluctant to go simply because of that. Okay, of course, in Malaysia, refugee access public health facilities as I said, with a 50% discount. Okay, or at the same time, we also have some complementary options, like for example, NGO running clinics like Suci Malaysia. They have 2 clinics, one in Pudu KL and the other one in Klang, okay, Selangor. And then they also have mobile clinic here and there. I think Kuantan also, they are very active there, assisting refugees and asylum seekers living in Kuantan area as well. So I'm not sure whether your team is in touch with Suci Malaysia on the ground, but I believe that they are quite active there. All right, if they can actually coordinate and work together as a team, so that we are able to provide better services. Just to put it on record to say that UNHCR continue to work with all different government agencies and civil society to protect and care for refugees' welfare while they are seeking asylum in Malaysia. Okay, so we continue to engage the government. We really welcome all the different discussion meetings with them. Even with this COVID-19 situation, the vaccination rollout and things like that, we are in constant communication with the Ministry of Health, with the JKJAV, with MRCS, with the Selangor task force and all different parties, just to make it accessible, so that the refugees are being included in the policy, including the COVID-19 vaccination. So which we really welcome and we really be very supportive of. So whichever area that we are able to support, we continue to support. Whichever area that we are able to provide technical expertise, we continue to do that. Even to a point that we wanted to the government to look into the whole registration and refugee status determination process, so that they understand the whole process. Bukan senang untuk dapat status pelarian di Malaysia. Bukan senang kita bagi kad sewenang-wenangnya. Okay, so it's not a very straightforward process. We show them through how it's done, how the biometrics are being taken, even the iris are being taken and things like that, so that they know that when we recognize them, we really are sure that they have a very valid ground of recognition as a refugees. Okay, so it's not just simply giving card randomly, oh, saya suka you, saya bagi you, tak suka you, tak bagi you. So it's not about that. It's about a very thorough process that we want all person of concern or whoever is seeking asylum have to go through before they are being recognized as a refugee. All right. So this is some pictures just to show you about some of the services available, but unfortunately at the moment, most of these services are concentrated in the Klang Valley. And of course, we welcome SASMAC's collaboration to offer, to extend their services to refugee and asylum seeker. And then I think this is a very welcome move. We hope to see more of this collaboration with different institutions, and also that we make it more accessible for them, and we make it that they are able to receive the needy health services and medical care. Okay, so this is one of the NGOs. So they provide two. One is a static clinic in Brickfield, and then they also have a convalescence home where they actually try to nurse some of the bedridden patient and all that. This is in Batu Arang. So they are always full, just to let you know, they are always full. And then sometimes some of these patients are there to stay for a long time because we just don't have a durable solution at the moment. Okay, this is the clinic run by Suchi in Pudu, and they also I think 2 years ago they set up another one in Klang, so which is a similar setting. So they provide quite a bit of extensive services, and many of the doctors there are some are on a local basis, some are actually volunteers. So they have even specialists volunteering there over the weekends, like providing ONG services. They have now dental services. They are the only NGOs providing dental services to refugees. So far, they have two. And then they also have physiotherapy and also mental health counseling and psychotherapy. So they have also engaged two clinical psychologists, full-time and one part-time child clinical psychologist to provide services to refugees and asylum seekers. So they are predominantly based in KL and Klang, but if let's say I'm not sure, but maybe if let's say you need some technical advice or how you can do this and all to provide some voluntary services through Unhcr or through other means, this is definitely a good model to look at how it can be done. So it's one of the main one at the moment. Like just to put it on record, that ACTS, I think they have ceased the clinic services. They are running on their own, but it's on a smaller scale. So the only clinic that is collaborating with Unhcr at the moment, which is providing more of this more services, is through the Suchi clinic at the moment. So on average, they are receiving about 1,000 to 2,000 patients doing consultation and all. So this is the dental facilities that they are providing services for. Okay, and also not only that, we are working with NGOs like ACTS and Suchi, MSR, and many more, Unhcr, to name a few. We also collaborate with private entities like Qualitas. So I think in 2016 or 17, we actually work with Qualitas. We have an MOU with them where they actually provide services to refugee and asylum seekers through their chain of clinic. So there's about 100, when they first sign up, they have about 140 private GPs who sign up for this program, where they actually give a flat rate of 50 ringgit for consultation plus medication, okay, for refugees seeking care at their facilities. So their entry level point is lower, so that they allow alternative options for them in case they couldn't go to the KK or to go to another place. they can go to Qualitas, and they even provide antenatal follow-up checkup as well. So this is another option example. More recently, we have a new MOU with the global doctors as well. So they are also doing the same, something like what Qualitas is doing, providing highly subsidized care for refugees. And not only that, if you know about the Qatar Fund for Development, what happened is that the Qatar government actually collaborate with the few NGOs in Malaysia like Mercy, Imarat, and MRA, the Malaysian Relief Agency, to actually set up static clinics in few locations. So these are some of the locations, one in Kota Tinggi, Johor, the other one in Kajang, and then the other one in Ampang, which is both two in Klang Valley and the other one up north in Sungai Petani. So they now at the moment they have 4 static clinics running, and then they are providing primary health care for refugees and asylum seekers who are able to go to their facilities lah. Okay, so going a bit deeper on the COVID-19 and refugees, of course, I mean the COVID-19 pandemic leave no mercy to anybody. That include refugees and asylum seekers. So they like a lot of B40s in Malaysia and all that, they actually go through a very tough period of time. In fact, I think all Malaysian or everybody lah, whoever, going through a very, very tough time. They need a lot of assistance, and we are very fortunate to have a lot of NGOs helping, including the main players like Mercy, Imarat, MRA. Here, if you can see in the pictures, doing food distribution, financial assistance, and things like that. To help out, but just to note to you as well, the sad point is that walaupun kita ada resources and all that, we try to help as many, but the reality on the ground is that we are only barely touching about 10-20% of the coverage of those who need. So there's still many more who did not get. They still have to rely on their neighbors, their local communities to help them out and things. And this is also something that I would like to note that I think to a certain extent, I think the Malaysian citizens are also helping them, their neighbors and all. Kalau nampak jiran tak ada makan, dia orang pun bagi walaupun dia orang pelarian and all that. So these are some of the compassionate act, and throughout this very difficult period that we notice among a lot of us and all that. So we really encourage that, and of course we continue to support. At this point of time, I think we have a project with the Malaysian Relief Agency to help with some food distribution, but the numbers is very, very small because of the limited resources, just to put on record. Yeah. Okay, so other than that, just to say that in terms of the vaccination, as I mentioned just now, Unhcr continues to support JKJAV and the Selangor government and whoever is interested to provide vaccination, to work closely with them to enable access to refugees and asylum seekers, to make sure that everybody is included in the vaccination campaign. So this is what we have been continuing doing, a lot of coordination between the UN agencies with NGOs like MRCS and all, and we hope that we are able to do more so that everybody benefit from that, and we are able to achieve herd immunity in a sooner time. Yeah. Okay, so that's a little bit of a sharing from me. I hope you find it useful about about a little bit about health and refugees. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And yeah, thank you.
Alright, we are open for any questions from the floor.
I have questions.
KFD Clinic akan ada buka di Pantai Timur kah? Bob masa ni tak ada budget. Tak ada. So they already designated the 4 locations, which they already set up. So not likely that they're going to have any more. So far, they only support the 3 NGOs, which is Mercy, Imarat, and MRA, to set up that in those 4 locations that I mentioned. So unfortunately, at the moment, they don't have. But through I think through the MRA and all, they are doing mobile. They're doing mobile clinics in the East Coast. So they have some coverage there where they are reaching out, doing health camps, mobile clinics, and all that to provide services to refugees in Pantai Timur. Yeah. Okay. So if you have further questions, if you have any issues related to refugees and asylum seeker, you can always contact us. We share our contacts here. One from Madhavi, which is now part of the community-based protection team, and I will continue to serve in the public health unit. So we are sharing our contacts here so that you can actually engage us. And you can also find a lot of information in the refugeemalaysia.org website. This is actually what we call most of the information there are actually catered for the refugees and asylum seekers. But of course, you can also access it to see what's there that is probably beneficial for you, or you might find it useful. But in general, if let's say you want to look at what UNHCR's activities are and things like that, you can go to the unhcr.org/en-my, which is mainly about some updates about the Malaysian operation. Okay, so we have two websites, one for the refugees and asylum seeker, one for the general public. But of course, you can also go to the Refugee Malaysia website to check it out because we continue to provide updates for refugee communities so that they can follow, especially in these difficult times. Yeah.
We have someone to ask just now.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Do we have any other question?
I think it can be questions, or if you have any comments, or what do you think about this session, or is there anything that you know, any opinion lah, apa-apa pandangan ke ataupun pengalaman ke bekerja bersama dengan, or you know, with the refugee, that can be shared too, no problem.
Assalamualaikum and good morning.
Hi.
Okay, hi Matavi and Jason.
Hi.
Okay, saya Siti Zainab.
Hmm.
Okay, what I want to ask you is that kita daripada Department of Medical Social Work, and it seems that kita selalu dapat patient yang dia datang bila dia nak beranak, which is very at the last moment. And sometimes we can just afford to say, okay, we cannot treat you here since you do not have money. So what is the best thing that we can offer ataupun we can collaborate in terms of managing emergency cases among refugees?
Madhavi, you want to take this question or you want me to answer?
We can do both. If you want to go ahead. I can add on.
Okay. Of course, we understand. Just to put it on the ground that at the moment, actually we made it very clear to all the refugees and asylum seekers that we do not support delivery costs and charges. Okay, so they are well aware of this. But sometimes it does happen because of this difficult situation. Sebab COVID, dia orang MCO lockdown, tak boleh kerja semua tu. So dia langsung tak boleh nak save money untuk the delivery. So normally they actually, if let's say the wife is pregnant and things like that, normally they will actually save up money, like 3,000 to 5,000, and then they will pay for the delivery charges. So they will still go for institutionalized delivery most of the time. But we understand that for the past 1 year or so, we also receive quite a bit of incidents where, you know, they come very, very late. They even skip all the antenatal checkup, and then they turn out at the hospital at the very last minute. Sudah syarat mengandung anak, baby kepala sudah keluar and all that. So you cannot turn them away, and then there's a lot of problems there. But at the moment, we still do not have means to support all the cases, but it's more on a case-by-case basis. If let's say it's an emergency case, where there's a life-threatening event and all that, we will look into it lah. Okay, that's the general sense lah. But then we cannot say that we are able to support all. It's not possible because we have very, very limited resources at the moment lah. So the message is still to encourage them to think of to save up or to do family planning at this point of time. So that's the main message that we are sending out there. If let's say you have financial issues and all that, let's do family planning. Let's think about family planning. Let's space it out and all that, so that you do not create a financial burden for yourself and things like that lah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
My next question. If they are going to hospital kerajaan, government hospital, say for example HTAA, do they need to pay too?
Yes, they have to.
They are exempted.
They have to. They only if kalau dia tunjuk UNHCR document sama ada surat ataupun kad, dia akan Unhcr akan bagi dia 50% discount. Dia akan bagi dia 50% discount, tapi dia masih perlu bayar bill tu. So for medical health, for all the hospitalization and all that, right? Refugees actually, they understand that they need to pay for the services. Okay, they need to pay for the services. It's just that they get the 50% discount. Okay, they get the 50% discount, and on a case by case basis, sometimes we provide some medical assistance for cases where it's urgent, life threatening, and with a good prognosis and all that. Sometimes we do provide some level of medical assistance, but just to let you know, like the pot of money is very, very small. So like probably we can only access like 40 to 50 cases in a year or so. Yeah, so very, very small pot. So we actually try to prioritize the fund for very, very needy one lah. Kalau macam sometimes like delivery or all that, it's not that we don't care, but it's more of like we would then discuss with the husband to think about whether their community can help them or not. Because sometimes what they can do is that they can actually source out, they can pool the money, they can borrow from their peers, just to pay off first, and then they can pay back to them later on. So that can be a solution. So the idea is that we also want to encourage them to have the community empowerment and solution, not just waiting for help from all different parties lah.
Yeah. And I think I just want to add on to that. They would need to pay in government hospital. I'm just going to give you a sense of range. Contohnya dekat kalau any medical deposit untuk orang pelarian ialah RM1,400 dia kena bayar upfront deposit. Okay, kalau normal pregnancy, bersalin biasa dengan contohlah sehari 2 punya ward, anggaran jumlah bil yang paling minimum dia boleh jangka ialah 2,500 ke bawah, 2,500 somewhere. So it's just normal birth. Kalau Malaysian Vigino, dia bayar roughly around RM200, RM300, hospital kerajaan bersalin biasa. So refugee dia bayar 2,500 at least. So you can bayangkan the gap. And then kalau C-section, habislah. 5,000, 6,000 dekat government hospital. Yeah, almost similar rate dengan private in that sense. Yeah, tapi ini saya kata harga refugee. Tapi kalau contohlah kalau kita ada migrant ke ataupun orang asing yang bukan tak ada pemegang kad Unhcr ataupun dokumen Unhcr, harganya double. Jadi bersalin biasa dekat hospital kerajaan, refugee 2,500, warga asing RM5,000. Kelas ketiga. Tak boleh dapat kelas 1, bayaran kelas 1, tapi rawatan ialah kelas ketiga. Sama juga. C-section is like 10,000 lah kalau C-section. Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you so much Puan Siti for your questions. Ada apa-apa soalan lain ataupun pandangan?
Satu lagi pandangan.
Yeah.
Ataupun can you share with us what are the kind of collaboration you mentioned just now, Unhcr, Suji, I guess that are more related to the healthcare, and what are the things that organizations could collaborate with Unhcr in terms of providing mungkin diorang punya well-being ke apa ke, what are the opportunity available?
Okay, thanks for the question. So basically, we have been working with different NGOs, as I mentioned just now, through the collaboration. So some of them actually provide like Suci Malaysia, through the QFFD as well. QFFD, yang Imarat, Mercy, and MRA. So they are actually providing primary healthcare services. So this is complementary primary healthcare services to refugee and asylum seeker, so that in the event kalau diorang tak mampu nak pergi kat KK, they still can have some other options. So this is one of the collaboration for primary healthcare. And other than that, we also look into mental health. Mental health is a big thing here among refugees and asylum seeker, where they're constantly in dire state that they're in need of services and all that. But so far, I think we only work with Suci, the Health Equity Initiative, and also MSRI. So far, only 3 organizations providing mental health services. Of course, this is one area that we're looking to expand as well. And then other than that, financial aid, food distribution, even medical assistance. Like I think the recent project with Imarat, we actually engaged them to become the main referrer for medical assistance. So Imarat is actually helping us to manage a lot of these medical requests, and then they review and then they prioritize triage cases, and then they see which are the cases that they are able to provide. So previously this has been something that is we are doing it directly from UNHCR side, but slowly we are moving on to more of a coordination role. So we are engaging local NGOs to play their part, to empower them, to equip them with the right technical skills so that they can actually flourish, and then to continue to provide services to refugees. So these are some of the things that we are currently doing, and some of the things that we are also trying to expand over the years. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, no problem.
Yeah. I think earlier on also Jason have mentioned like our UNHCR in general, our collaboration also with other partners we have on an education basis, because like like some of the community schools or NGO schools are run by done with the collaboration with us, like we have quite number of lot of learning centers yang kita juga bekerjasama lah dengan community dan NGO untuk pusat pembelajaran mereka. Yeah. So yeah, that's there too. Okay, we are almost at the end of the session ataupun hampir kepada 2 jam. Lagi mungkin kita will take another 1 or 2 more questions, and then before we wrap up.
One question from YouTube, Madavi.
Yes. Okay.
We copy paste it here, so you can hear a question from Dr. Zul actually from NG.
Dr. Zhu, Madhavi can see.
Yeah, I can see. Just hold on. I'm just reading it. Okay, it says here, we have a patient receive assistance from UNHCR for underlying liver problem that is not fit to get pregnant. Thus, the pregnancy was terminated and put on contraception. She required long-term follow-up for her liver problem. Is there any way we can send her to third country to support her long-term? Okay, question. Answer for this. Actually, walaupun UNHCR adalah satu body yang akan we would love to all our refugees to get a better future, better living condition anywhere they are, Malaysia ke tempat lain ke, kita akan cuba. That's our ultimate goal. But malangnya pergi ke negara ketiga, yes, macam saya kata durable solution kan. Jadi nak pergi ke negara ketiga tu, it's a very tight spot. Kita boleh kata, okay, yes, prioritize this lady because she need a long-term support. But negara-negara ketiga yang nak ambil pesakit ni pun, ataupun orang pelarian, spot dia sangat kurang. Contohnya lah, I give you an example. Selama hampir 10 tahun yang dulu, US used to take almost like 10,000 refugees daripada Malaysia saja. Yeah, almost 10,000 every year. Yeah, almost 10,000. Tapi bila presiden dia bertukar 4 tahun yang lalu, cuma 600 orang pelarian sahaja dapat pergi ke luar negara. Okay, jadi luar negara tu dia macam I boleh buat macam mana tahu? Macam tuan rumah lah. Kalau tuan rumah rumah I besar, I nak ambil jemput orang, I jemput lah. I pilih siapa yang I nak ambil. Kita tak boleh dictate. Kita boleh kata, kita ada orang yang perlukan attention, help and everything. Tapi terpulang kepada tuan negara ataupun tuan rumah tu sendiri, sama ada dia akan tengok adakah orang ini membawa banyak kos, sebab ini kos kepada negara juga kan kalau they take a lot of patients, ataupun adakah orang ni sesuai untuk dia nak. Jadi dia boleh pilih lah, negara-negara ni dia boleh pilih siapa dia nak, siapa dia tak nak. Ya, dan spot dia sangat sikit. So peluangnya ada Dr. Zul Fadzli, tapi untuk sekarang at this point of time, the COVID situation, I don't think so it's going to happen anytime soon. Because all country, globally we are fighting the COVID, right? So at this point of time, kita ada peluang cerah untuk kata, okay, mungkin globally negara mungkin akan terima pelarian, tapi untuk at this point of time, orang tu rasa that Rohingya woman have to get her treatment in Malaysia lah at this point of time. Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Tak ada. Okay, kalau for example lah, sometimes you just have an afterthought, right? Lama I nak tanya tapi tak tanya. Lepas tu you masih berlima lagi nak tanya ke tak tanya, kan? So I think we can always share. I think since this is live stream in YouTube and Zoom as well, I can leave our probably Nisa nanti kita boleh share. You boleh share kita punya contact. Anything, just give us a call or just email us. We can respond to you. Not a problem. It will be our pleasure to to have you all to hear from you. How do you think about the session? Or if you have a soalan. And I say it's pretty good. We have 75 people at the end of session, which is like, yay. Good. Thank you for
Good
joining
session.
and thank you for listening. Yeah.
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you so much. All right, I think that is the wrap for the session today. So I will say thank you, Madhavi and Jason, for being a good speaker today. It is such a mind-opening session, I have to say. And thank you to Dr. Siti Zainab, our Senior Deputy Director for SASMAC, and all participants today, such wonderful participants. Thank you for lending your ears, your eyes and your hearts. So hashtag again, biar tahu jangan keliru. So don't forget to fill out the feedback form. With that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Nisa,
Yeah.
and you want to take the group photo for this session?
Oh, sure. So siapa yang boleh buka kamera? Kita buka kamera now.
Nanti bila dia record.
Betul. Okay, ramai yang cun-cun handsome buka kamera kejap. Nanti tolong ambil alright. Dengan count 1. Okay, Matron Sarina lawa dah tu. Pandang sikit je tu, tak ada. Saja usik Matron. Alright. We've count 1, 2, 3. Next, 1, 2, 3. And last one, 1, 2, 3. Alright, so thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Stay safe.
Thank you, Matavi. Thank you,
Bye.
Jason.
Thank you,
Nisa
Dr.
and
Steve.
all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.